Men leading, authority, and influence. Men leading, authority, and influence. Let me go ahead and get to this video for you guys right now. Here we go.
Leader, you may be in authority, but if you always got to use authority, you're not leading well. You want to influence. See, authority gets you compliance. Influence gets you buy-in, which is what you really want. Authority make people follow. Influence make them want to follow. In the company, you can make them follow because you're paying them.
Right, right.
Can't make them follow you at home, bro. Right? So leading in the home is, to me, like, it's the highest level of leadership, because in order for it to work, you got to be the greatest version of yourself as a leader, because you're dealing with people who know the real you.
All right, there we go. Men leading, authority, and influence. What do you guys thoughts about it? We'll start with Shan first. Go ahead, Shan.
I think it's one of those word salad arguments using the semantics to sound smart. But I mean, to a degree, it makes sense. Authority, he's saying authority, you can have authority, but you need the influence in order to get anything to make anything to happen. Because at work, they're going to do their job because they know they need a paycheck on Friday. But at home, authority don't mean shit if you can't influence. Like, for instance, I'm the head of household. Why? Because I'm the man, right? And you stomping around your house kicking shit over. But then if you can't influence your children, if you don't have your wife believe in you and anything that you tell her, she got to go hear from somebody else before she actually apply that information, even though you told her the exact same thing the day before. Why do you have any influence over your wife? And what if you don't have influence, then what good is the authority? I get what he's saying. And to a degree, I agree with that. Now, how do you get that influence? Well, do you got to be a gift of gab? You got to be a smooth talker? You got to know how to finesse people. That's one way. Other ways is, are you a show and prove type of guy? Are you the one that actually don't believe what I'm telling you? Watch what I'm doing. I'm showing you. I'm leading by example. In the military, we call it leading by example, and we lead from the front. Captain charges the hill first, and all the soldiers follow behind, as opposed to the captain waiting behind, all the soldiers hiding and kowtowing behind them. It depends. It's a lot of different ways that you can gain influence from people. And I know that's not part of the question, so we won't get into that. But to a degree, I believe with the video. I believe the video. When they use a lot of that talk, I think sometimes. Anyways, yeah, I agree with the video. So next guy.
I think when you establish authority is because of your work ethic. When people see you working, it makes them want to kind of like follow your lead. It's almost like you riding down the street and somebody is leaning up against their car with their thumb up like, hey, give me some help. Ain't nobody gonna stop for that person. But if you are riding down the street and you see a guy pushing the car, it will actually promote you to say, oh, damn, let me help this guy, because he's already working. So the authority is literally just you working. So what I try to always do is outwork people, and that brings up the authority side. So when it comes to women want to see what you already have built before she gets there. Because if she waits until she gets there, she's going to take all the credit, and she's almost like she's mommying you or something. She built you or something, So she has the authority because she's going to say she built you or she inspired you to the point where now you working. But if you were working before you meet her, you now can retain the authority because you were doing everything in the beginning, and she comes in her natural state as a helper instead of her having authority over you. So the person that puts in the most work usually has the most authority.
I don't know. I have to push back a little bit on that, Mr. Lego. I kind of see what you're saying, but I don't think people follow work ethic. I think they follow results. You can have all the work ethic in the world, but if you ain't got no results, ain't nobody following you. And I think, and you actually kind of said that a little bit when you said that when it comes to women, they want to see what you've already built. That's the result. Your work ethic is
yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the same thing. I think that ain't that what you were saying, Mr. Lego?
Yeah, I was.
He wound up saying it eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing about work And there's another thing about results. So I get what you're saying right there. But yeah, it's about the results. But you got to put in the work in order to get the results. That goes back from the last topic we just did.
Absolutely. I think
Sweeney coming for violence tonight.
I'm gonna take a little bit of Shan and Let Go's answer. Y'all kind of covered most of what I wanted to say, but I'll kind of try to hit it from a different angle. Pause. Consistency and leadership. And this is something we got to talk to our young men about, right? Because when they make an error, they think they're supposed to acquiesce and then start sharing leadership in their woman because they made an error. Do not do that, fellas. Stay the course. Do not let your woman lead at any point. Not 50-50 leadership, not we can do this together. Remain consistent. Fearlessness in leadership is how you get influence. All right. Leadership, especially in the home, is a trial and error exercise. When you make an error, stay the course correct, and see it through. That influence comes from your results. If we get lost somewhere, or if we're trying to figure out somewhere, let me find out where we're going to go so then I can learn, so we don't get lost in that area of town anymore. But if you decide which way we need to go and then we get lost, that means that I not only didn't choose the direction we were going, I have to work twice as hard to get us back to where we're supposed to be. So men, always stay the course. You will learn through trial and error what you're supposed to do. The one thing women cannot argue with is results. Just like Mr. Letgo said, they cannot argue with results. Established order of results. Only a fool of a woman would act like she does not see that. And the good thing about it is that no matter if your woman sees it or not, other women do. So she'll smarten up. Stay the course.
Go ahead, Luis.
Damn. I think Trigger took a lot of the points that I was going to bring up, but but yeah, look, I think it's about, laying out receipts, and laying out receipts is your results, move through actions and deeds and not word and lip service. And, when you have results and you show that consistency throughout, I think that will garner you that authority and that influence over time. But notice that when trying to be in a leadership position, there's always going to be pushback. There's always going to be resistance. People are going to challenge you. People are going to question you. And as long as you don't fold at the seams or buckle, and you stay consistent, those receipts will show up and people will fall in line.
All right. Ali.
I think power is the highest form of authority. So there's a saying I heard before that said knowledge is power. I don't know if y'all ever watched Game of Thrones, but there was a guy, I forgot what the characters were, but there was a scene in the show where a man was saying the man with wisdom had great power. And then the woman said she ordered her soldiers to kill this man, delete this man. And right before they deleted him, she said, stop. She said, no, power is power, not knowledge. So I believe power is order. Order is authority. Authority, whoever has the most authority has the highest influence, unless someone can compromise what the authority is. So I believe, depending on if we live in a society that's moral or a society that's superficial, whoever has the most power in that, whatever way they want to go, has the most authority and the most influence over people.
Ali, so you would prefer power over influence?
No, that the highest form of nature is power. Whoever has the power has the highest authority and influence. We're all our lives is conducted by who's in power right now.
Well, power is kind of, isn't power more like the ability to control others, right? Even whether it's by force, by cracking the whip.
Yes.
And influence is kind of predicated upon your ability to have some sort of legitimate
Charisma.
Yeah, charisma. We can use.
I'll give you an example. We can sit up on this panel and say the NIGGER word all day long, right? We think we can say whatever we want to say until we say the untouchable word, or if we say the FAGGOT word. So we have liberties. We don't have freedom. The power, the entities that's in power, they have authority, and they could influence. They have influence over us in letting us know what we can say and what we can't say. So this is just liberties we have.
Yeah, and power is, damn. I forgot what I was gonna say. Power, you have to either take it, it can be created, but you also can take it. Influence is not created. You don't create influence. That I think that's it. Like influence is more like a persuasion type of thing. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just wondering which one is
I,
more.
I
I'm
would
just
argue
wondering
that
which
power
one
is
more.
influence.
Like what, Shannon? If Trigger Mike deleted 4 people on the panel, right?
Now I'm a killer.
He's gonna have the greatest influence over everyone. That's how the world is operating. Whoever has the most power has
but
the
that's
most
my point,
influence.
Ali. So he's going to have the greatest influence over who? The audience?
People.
Okay. So say for instance, he deleted all the old folk, right?
Oh.
He got rid of all the ugly dudes and left the good looking dudes on the screen, right? Let's just say that. Right?
Mike, really?
My question to you, Ali and Trigger, is okay, he made that happen because he has the power. He has the delete button. He has the control to remove the people he wants. But what if the people that he removed has more influence? Doesn't have the power to push the delete button and remove people off of StreamYard, but he had but those people that he removed had the influence over the people in the audience. And they were to get the people that was watching the show to follow them somewhere else. Which one is more influential? Which one is more ultimately powerful?
Power.
The people that have the influence to get the people that's watching the show to go somewhere else, or the one that had the power to delete the ones that had the influence?
Shannon, literally Malcolm
Influence
X,
is power.
Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, the Black Panthers were all wiped out because how powerful their influence was. And this Andrew Tate, we can think about what happened to KS.
You got a point there.
If you become too influential, you have to get taken out. You have to be canceled. So you are right. Someone can come into authority. Someone can have more power that becomes more influential. But the powers that are existing,
the
today,
powers that be, you can say
whatever we can say. We'll say, "Oh, you think you got power?" And
they use that delete. They use that delete button, huh?
Right.
Delete. I don't know who Shannon was.
So look, something like this happened today. Actually, Hassan Campbell, who had a lot of influence, got his page deleted due to the powers that be. So yeah, you can think you have the power because you got all of this influence. But
Hassan got deleted. Hassan from New York. His YouTube is gone.
According to what
Lego telling you right now.
What does New York got to do with it?
Yeah, what that got to do with it? But the thing about it is, you can turn around and be very influential, but somebody in the background can actually have the power to get rid of the person that is influential.
Same thing.
So it's almost as if influence is a child of power.
Yes.
And if power was Cliff Huxtable, Theo is influence saying, "I brought you in this world, and I can take your ass out."
Y'all talking about the Matrix?
Yeah, I get you.
Jesus, you just ruined the whole metaphor, bro. God, this thing.
I don't know because after that there becomes
power is absolute.
Listen, I would say influence is actually power. Even like when we talk about, like, for example, use the example of Hassan Campbell with YouTube. The only difference between him and YouTube is YouTube has the power to influence his page. They have the power to influence what happens, who can see his page. They have the power of influence. So at the end of the day, I feel as though influence is power. Now, the difference with influence and authority is the title of power, whereas influence is the actual power. So and history has shown us several times that there can be someone with the title of power that is completely controlled by the influence of power. A perfect example of this is a story I recently saw on YouTube where there was a guy who was like a top tier gang member and he was in the jail, and the jail had gotten a new warden. So he walks in the kitchen to go get a cheeseburger or whatever. He's walking around like, "Yo, make me a cheeseburger." Every door he goes to, somebody just lets him through. They just nod, let him through. They let him through. He gets to the kitchen. They start making his cheeseburger. The warden comes out and the warden's like, "What the hell are you doing out here? Like you're not supposed to be getting a cheeseburger. Like, get back in the cell." He's like, and the guy's looking at him like, "You don't understand how things work here. Like, I can have you killed right now by anybody in this room." And then when the dude realized what position he was in, he just went back in his office and told him make him 2 cheeseburgers. Because even though the warden was the person who had the authority over the jail, that's just a position that he's in. The person who has the real power is the guy with the influence, the guy who can make one phone call and make one head nod and get you killed.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this,
Shout
Joe.
out to my guy Andre
I was-
Norman. I'm proud to say that guy is my brother. So
Hold on, Bruce. Hold on, Bruce, real quick. I think influence is only powerful as long as it's protected by power. For example, if you look at the feminism movement, like y'all just said, all these names of men who had their channels stripped away. But we've seen on the very other side of it, a lot of women still got their channels, despite the fact that they're saying the same thing, but towards men. The feminism movement, I said this one day under, I think it might have been Pink Book Lessons post. I said feminism only works in a world where men are seen as an enemy of women, while women are simultaneously still seen as something that need to be cared for and protected. And then I said, I often ask women, what happens in a world where men begin to equally see women as their adversaries? So as long as feminism can only exist in this world because men still want to protect, and that's how I see it as that's why I see the feminism as it has the most influence in this country right now, but it's protected. Whereas you start saying it's protected by men. Whereas you see people like Kevin Samuels, what the heck is his name? Andrew Tate, all of them getting their channel stripped away because they may have all the influence in the world, but they have no protection.
well, it's a big difference. This is a big difference. One, the reason why that is because women are children. But the second thing is there's no female Kevin Samuels or no female Andrew Tate. Whether this is brilliant or they don't know what they're doing, is women are like bees. There's not one main woman. There's just a whole bunch of women. I don't like this person. Da, 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 da. It's always one dude that stands up here and says, I'm the person, and next thing you know, here comes the bees. It actually happened with the NFAC. If y'all know anything about the NFAC, I was in the NFAC, and the leader of the NFAC kept saying, I'm the leader, I'm the leader. And they got rid of him, and we all fell apart. So yeah, when the person comes out and says, I'm the leader, that actually hurts their influence, because we all know the leader of anything isn't the person with the power. It's the person, like in The Sopranos. Tony Soprano acted like, Tony Soprano didn't have the power that everybody thought he had. His uncle did, but his uncle was in the background. And the bottom line is, it's important for you to hide your power and give somebody else the influence so they'll be taken out instead of the actual personal power.
So what you're saying is that the distro is the leader.
Yes.
But the connect
is a figurehead. Like the president, he doesn't have the power, but he has the influence, right? So going back to what Ali said, the person with the influence isn't usually the person with the power. They're like a figurehead.
This is actually pretty funny. Do y'all know what they call people on all the social media? Do you know what they call them? They call them influencers. So the equation has already been solved. Power is the entity, and the workers are the influence.
The workers are the influence.
The workers are the influence. Whoever you decide is the influence. Right. The funny thing is, the algorithm decides who gets the most influence. If they want to shadow ban you, you could be the biggest person on Instagram one day, on YouTube, and then get shadow banned, and your influence goes elsewhere. Right. So the entity is the one with the real power. That's pretty fun.
But
I think that's the authority. I think authority fears influence.
But they want us. We're our biggest distractors. They want us to talk. They want us to be all talk. They fine with us getting together to talk as long as we don't try to take back power. So they allow us to talk about religion. They allow us to talk about men. They allow us to talk about what you did last night. They allow talk about what you did with your woman, your lady. All these we can talk about anything as long as we don't take action. They fine with it. As soon as we try to take back power, then there's going to be a problem. So they let them exercise talking.
Because none of those things are protected. None of that. Man ain't protected in these only in those spaces. The religious community ain't protected. The conservative community ain't protected. Nobody's protected except for y'all know the groups that are protected in those spaces.
But it was talking about
why they protected, but look, why are they protected? They're protected because of their influence. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that y'all are trying to separate power and influence, not realizing that it really all depends on what you can influence. They run together. Exactly. It's what you can influence. Yeah. If you can influence the president, then you have more power than the president.
The
The
president
president
don't
can,
have power though.
the president has power to an extent because the president has influence.
No, he's just a
But
figurehead. He ain't got no
but
power.
just hear me out. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. The president has more power than me or you right now. Like you get what I'm saying? Like if the president walks in a room right now, they're gonna throw our asses out the room to sweep the room. So the president has more power, but there's someone who has power over him. And why is that? Because there's someone who can influence him. So if his wife can influence him, his wife has more power. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
I
no.
If the
disagree.
CIA can influence him, then the
I
CIA
think,
has
I
more
think
power.
y'all all saying the same
I
thing.
disagree.
I think we all agree that there is some chain of command. If you want to have some type of order, there's always a superior above a superior above a superior.
But y'all realize that we were talking about men, and then y'all transitioned to
yeah. So let me see if I can bring it back to the fuck was we talking?
we were
Oh,
talking about
anyway.
men leading, and then
Okay.
authority and then influence.
Remember, I started off with the men and women, and y'all started
Yeah.
talking about all this other crazy
Yeah,
I
shit.
ain't even
you
get my
did
take.
good.
I haven't even got a chance to say anything. Y'all
Where didn't go?
Red Bull on today.
Cause you ain't got no power, Bruiser. Get
We
some
were talking
power.
about power, Bruiser. We were talking about power.
What are you talking about?
So before I got married, I ensured that I qualified for submission. I don't know if any of y'all do that. I mean, this kept my wife from having to depend on whether or not, you know, she would have to look at me as an authoritative figure or influencer or whatever the words you down here. I showed that I was financially disciplined, you know, prior to marriage and even before we cohabitated or whatever. And I gave her an ease of mind and like a sense of security in exchange for submission. You know, she sees how consistent I am, which in turn makes her trust me like undoubtedly. So I don't have to worry about this. Oh, is it a company and you gotta do it because you're getting paid, or you gotta yell, "I'm the man in the house." Now, I made sure I nipped that in the butt earlier because I seen it done wrong so many ways. I was like, I'm not gonna go through that. If you don't want to get down with my program, we don't have to take the next step.
But isn't that somewhat the same thing, Bruiser? It's just that she doesn't have to pay anything versus getting paid from a job. It's still the absence of either the money or having to work.
Hello,
But it's
motherfucker.
both. Like you can have authority and influence, whether if you're at work or even if you're in your household.
In your home, yeah,
I mean,
it's
You know
same
what I'm saying?
thing.
But I was agreeing with Shan was saying is that it was a lot of word salad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because if you are operating in the position as a husband, she chose you because she trusted your authority. Now that's the reason why she chose you from the jump, right? There you can talk about the other things if you want to once the marriage is carrying out, right? But in the beginning, she respects your influence and your authority for the most part, right? And then when you go to work, it's the same thing. You know, you respect the authority of your boss, and he or she has the influence to make you do what it is that you're supposed to do. So what he said made sense already. He just said something that he thought that was very captivating in my estimation. But authority and influence work hand in hand, regardless of if you are in if you're in the household or if you're at work.